And I hope you're doing well for the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and exciting this morning because we're focusing on centre-back and left-back at the start, because I think these are two positions that Manchester United do need to improve on for depth but also first team quality, and some quite interesting, credible stories coming out. So we will be talking about Sancho and Grealish, of course, but it's nice to mix things up and it's nice to have things to talk about, because Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish are not on their own going to make Manchester United title winners. We need to build a squad. So let's start off with this Kalidou Koulibaly transfer fee agreed. It's not what you technically would think. Zaid's not running around his garden naked with his shirt around his head doing a Ryan Giggs classic 99 because we're signing Koulibaly. That's a thought. But basically the president of Napoli has come out and said that everybody's got their price, and £81 million would be the price that they would take for Kalidou Koulibaly, but all parties would have to be agreeable to that, and at the moment they don't even know that Koulibaly wants to go. So £81 million would get you Kalidou Koulibaly. Now, does that mean Manchester United are going to buy Koulibaly? I mean, as I said, Said would want that to be happening, of course he would, but I like Koulibaly, but at 29 years of age, I mean, just look, quick maths. Manchester United sign Jadon Sancho for 85 million plus add-ons. They buy Koulibaly for 81 million. You're over 160 million on two players there. It's not going to happen. So unless Koulibaly's price comes down massively, and we know that Manchester City were looking at him, unless he comes down massively, then I don't see him going anywhere. And I actually did feel that Koulibaly was probably the sort of player that Manchester City would be looking at. Maybe they won't be now, they're going to get Aki. But yeah, I think Koulibaly will be completing his career at Napoli because they've priced him out of a move altogether. Why do you think United are not going for a lot of foreign players? They seem cheaper than UK players, and since other big European clubs are up, that means they have the needed quality, says Onana. Well, that's nice. That's interesting because it takes me on to my next story. This was coming out of France. Julian Maynard was tweeting about it yesterday in French, unsurprisingly, because it's coming from France. But the translation was basically that Manchester United are in the race for Benoit Badiashile, who is probably announced. I must apologise. There are a couple of players I'm going to announce today, and I'm going to talk, and I'm going to get their name totally wrong. But he's a centre-back for Monaco. Leverkusen are interested in him and apparently had a €15 million bid knocked back, unsurprisingly. Manchester United are in the equation, and so are Real Madrid. Now, I'm not saying Manchester United are going to win this race, but we were talking about this last night, and these sort of links excite me. Because you can go Koulibaly for £81 million, but he's 29. And when you start talking about Benoit at Monaco, or Gabriel at Lille, or Torres at Villarreal, these are players that can be the next Koulibaly at a far more reasonable price and give you far more years. There's a risk attached, of course, because they're younger players. But it's the right sort of signing for Manchester United to be looking at. And look, you know what? We were talking about Tyrone Mings last night. We've spoken about Nathan Aki. I don't think they have the quality for Manchester United. I really don't. But, you know, there's a lot. I said this last night. If United went and spent 40 million quid on Tyrone Mings, I'll tell you now, you could get 20 young centre-backs better than him across Europe for 25 million. A lot cheaper. So we do need to trust that European scouting network. But what is Benoit Badiashile like? Well, he plays for Monaco. He's 19. He's 6'4". He's super fast. He's decent on the ball. And that's what, you know, it fits in with Gabriel, who may well go to Everton. It fits in with Torres at Villarreal, who may not come to Manchester United. But those three players, and there are more, you know, people have mentioned other players. Those three players excite me because that's what Manchester United should be doing. They should be buying the player that's going to be that's on the verge or the potential to become one of the world's best centre-backs, but isn't yet. The Bruno from Sporting Lisbon, the Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace, those sort of signings where they've got the potential, but you bring them in and they become great players at United. Instead of buying somebody else's great player and trying to make them a great player at United, I think that's a harder task, and it's not really the United way. So I hope there's something in it. Look, I mean, to be honest with you, it's rich pickings, isn't it? If you said to me, who do I want, Gabriel, Torres or Benoit Badiashile from Monaco, I could honestly say, combination, I've not seen them play 5 games together. So, you know, obviously not together as they play for different clubs, but I haven't seen, well, I probably have seen about 6 or 7 when I think about Monaco, Villarreal, not Lille, but, you know, I've hardly seen them play, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go Torres is better than Gabriel or Benoit Badiashile's better than Torres. I mean, I suppose Torres has played in La Liga, which is a tougher league than the French league, but they've all got attributes and they're all quite exciting. So I just hope United are going to go for that sort of a player, because they do need a centre-back. They do need a left-sided centre-back. And they are all, this is the market, as the previous comment said. This is the market to do it, because these clubs need money. Everybody needs money at the moment. These clubs need money, and deals can be done. Does United actually have a transfer target list, or are we just linked to everyone and anyone? Doesn't appear we have set targets and focusing on them, says Andrew Chow. Yeah, but that's because you're taking the media as your driver. I mean, the reality is, I can guarantee we might not be in for any of those centre-backs I've mentioned there. It might just be paper stories. It might just be put Manchester United to it. That probably is the case. It doesn't mean that we can't look at it and go, well, actually, they would be a good player for us. I would hope we're in for one of those players, because I think that they're the sort of player that United should be looking at. And it fits in with Solskjaer what he wants to do. He wants younger players that have shown first-team pedigree, that are ready to take the step up. So they all fit in with that. I just hope we're looking at that sort of player and not the Brexit FC Tyrone Mings type of player. Still think United will go for Grealish over Van der Beek. Concerns about players from slower leagues. Memphis Depay, a prime example of this, says FIFA Crazy. We'll come back to that. And also, Steve Metcalf says, Mark, can you call Aaron Sadler a prat? Aaron Sadler, you're a prat. Anyway, Koulibaly reminds me of Godin, says Richard Lavender. Why? I mean, Godin's a fantastic centre-back, but he doesn't remind me of that. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching. Let me talk to you about left-backs. Now, it's interesting. I was actually... it's almost like a special area today, this, because last night I actually was lying in bed. I was watching a bit of Friday night dinner, and I just couldn't get left-backs out of my head. Not because I'm in bed thinking about Luke Shaw, nothing like that. I don't do that sort of thing. I just like Luke Shaw as a footballer. But I was thinking, Luke Shaw gets injured. We're playing Brandon Williams at right back and at left back, and he's effectively a right back because he's right-footed. So I was thinking Manchester United need a left back. Now, interestingly, what got me thinking about it, and somebody in the live comments has just said it here. In fact, Subam has just said Digne is a Barcelona reject and one of the best left backs in the Premier League now. Not all the players play good in every league. Well, interestingly, Everton are linked with signing a left back, and does that mean Digne's available? They're looking to cash in. I don't know. But I think we do need a left back. Now, there is a story, you may have seen it. United been linked quite heavily to Rayon Nori, who is a Rennes left back, plays for Rennes in France, and Manchester City are chasing him hard as well. Now, I don't pretend to know loads about him, but he's 19 years of age, and also Nuno Mendes, who is an 18-year-old left back at Sporting Lisbon, who's got the same agent as Bruno Fernandes. So there's two left backs there, and Ainori at Rennes and Mendes at Sporting Lisbon, 18-19, and very exciting left backs, and United linked to both of those players. And I was thinking about the youth setup, because people are like, have we got a player coming through? The only real left-sided, well, he does play at left back, is Reece Devine in the youth setup, and I don't think he's anywhere near ready. He's 18, he's going to be 19 in December. I don't think he's knocking on the door to be involved with the first team next year. I don't think he's at that level, but he is left-footed, and he could be a player that comes through. So I think United, and also we're meant to be buying this left-back 17-year-old from Real Madrid as well. So there are left-backs coming through, but I don't think they're ready next season. And I don't think that Brandon Williams is a player that... sorry, Al Nouri is not at Rennes, he's at Angers. Sorry about that. So obviously I've never seen him play, so I'm not going to pretend that, I'm not holding an L on that, because I don't know much about him other than what I've been reading this morning, which I will tell you in a minute. But I don't think Manchester United, if Luke Shaw gets injured, I think we're in big problems. I think we saw that at the end of the season. Brandon Williams tucks way too inside to compensate the fact that he hasn't got a strong left foot, and Luke Shaw, with the best will in the world, the way Luke Shaw plays, he's going to pick up injuries. He leaves his foot in. He's back and forward, so he's going to pick up injuries. So if he gets injured, who have you got? Now, Ainori at Angers, not Rennes, he is was considered to be one of the best young left-backs in Europe. Now, we've been there before with Delo at Porto, of course, but he's fast. He's got a decent cross on him. He's defensively very good. He basically, if you buy him, you're buying the right sort of young left back, because he's got everything there to prove that he's good enough. So if it's true that United are looking at him, that would be an interesting signing. I'd be very excited about it. And I think the fact that he's played first team football in France, He's 19. Shaw would still be the first choice, but he would be the sort of young player backup, give him some games. I think he'd be perfect for what United are looking at. I'm not saying he's going to be a success, but I think he's exactly what you should be looking at. Nuno Mendes at Sporting Lisbon, similar sort of left back in a dissimilar way, but a young, exciting left back who could have a great future. And again, he's played a bit of first team football for Sporting, and again would be the understudy to Luke Shaw that we need. I don't think Brandon Williams is the understudy to Luke Shaw. I really don't think he should be the understudy to Luke Shaw. I think he's had a really good breakthrough season. But let's call a spade here. He's got to be pushing right back. That's where he's got to go. You can't have a right-footed left back. It's just, we did it with Phil Neville for years. You just can't do it. And I know Dennis Irwin did it, but Dennis Irwin was like, you barely knew. You barely knew that he didn't have a left foot. You barely knew that. So I just don't like Brandon Williams at left back because you just lose the balance. Like Luke Shaw, whatever you think about Luke Shaw, he uses his left foot. He goes down the touchline. He whips across him with his left foot. He can have the ball and he passes down the line, whereas Brandon's always looking to pass inside because he's right-footed. So I'm quite encouraged. I don't know whether United will do it, but I do think... I'm not talking about replacing Luke Shaw here. I'm talking about a player to come in who is left-footed at left back. That's what I think we need. We need 2 left-footed left backs, and at the moment we've got 1 and he's injured. So that's my feeling about that. Mark, can you call me a prat, says Zayn Miassi. You ready for the Obama hat trick? A popcorn is ready for the victory party. I tell you what, Arsenal are under pressure, Zayn. You're under pressure today. I'm doing a watch-along on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I think Arsenal will win because I think they have to win. You're under massive pressure because if you don't, you're not in Europe. And I know, they think, oh, well, we'll only play 1 game a week. We'll be in the top 4. You won't be in the top 4 next year. You need to be in the Europa League next year because you need to try and win it to get in the Champions League. It's your only way in. And also, the money you're going to lose by not being in Europe is huge. So this game is huge for Arsenal today. Vezoto Tetso says, hypothetically, if you could only get Pau or Gabriel, who would you get? Love your show, Mark. Greetings from... I'm not going to pronounce that name because I don't know how to pronounce it. Vezoto, I would say that for me... out of Gabriel or Torres, I don't know enough about both players to say one's firmly better than the other. I like the look of both. I think from what I've seen, most people would say Torres is better because of the league that he's playing in. So there you go. Hi Mark, my girlfriend and I are big fans of the channel. Keep up the good work, says JJ. Thanks very much for the super chat. And Alexander Darman then says Koulibaly will be our Van Dijk, a true leader. I don't know whether we would win the title with him, Sancho and a midfielder, but we would definitely compete. I just don't think Koulibaly, if anyone's joining late, the Napoli president has come out and said £80 million is the price for Koulibaly for anybody who wants to buy him, and United won't do that. We won't pay that sort of fee, so that's not going to happen. So I think we need to look at those centre-backs that we've been talking about. The Monaco lad, Gabriel, Torres. They're the sort of players we should be looking at. I'm just hoping that we don't go and look at a player like a Tyrone Mings, because for me, that would be a huge mistake. Updates on Sancho and everything else, because I know people are going to want that. The Jadon Sancho thing, sort of what I was hinting about last night. There's such a thirst for Sancho news that you are getting credible journalists, some of which we've had on this channel, coming out and basically just wording things differently but the same. What's the situation with Jadon Sancho? Talks are ongoing, a bid hasn't gone in, and Dortmund are resolute on the fee that they want. So it's, we're even getting headlines now. United don't want a Harry Maguire situation with Sancho, which basically means they don't want a protracted 6-week deal. Same happened with Wan-Bissaka, same happened with Bruno Fernandes. So the story is that the talks are happening. The talks have been happening since Monday, as I said. The fee is not been agreed, and Dortmund want close to £100 million, and United don't want to pay that. So that's the situation. And I think all we're getting now is, because to be fair to anybody who knows anything, it's just the same story and it's being repackaged. So yeah, look, I do think Sancho's coming to Manchester United. I've always felt that. And what have I said? I've always said I don't think we'll go above Pogba's 89 million. I think it'll be 85 million with 20 million in add-ons. And to be honest with you, if you are Dortmund, I think that's a very fair offer, because ultimately, Sancho is going to be successful. So you're really getting 105 million, which 105 million is about 113 million euros, which is a little drop off from the 120 that they want. So that's what I think is going to happen. That's 85 million plus add-ons. I've always said that, and we'll have to wait and see. As for the FA Cup prediction, Ashish, I'm going to go Arsenal to win 2-0. As for midfielders, there is nothing about Van der Beek, which is interesting because I think the Van der Beek deal can be done. Ajax have got no football. They're not doing anything. In fact, they've not been doing anything for months. So if you wanted Van der Beek at Manchester United, now this is a bit of breaking news in a way. If United did want Van der Beek, surely you would do that deal now because he's not played football for 5 months. Get him into the training now, get him fit for the start of the season now. I don't think United are looking at Van der Beek. I don't. I think they should be looking at Van der Beek because he's £40 million and he's a very good player. But I don't think we are. I think that story 6 weeks ago, and it wasn't a weekend, wasn't it? I said at the time, this feels to me like a PR spin from the club. Feels to me like we're doing a favour for Van der Sar and Ajax because they want to move him on, but Real Madrid have dropped out. I think Van der Beek will still end up going to Real Madrid, and I don't think we're even in for him. I think we should be in for him, but I don't think we are. And I think if we were in for him, we should be doing the deal now because, look, Grealish price, is it going to come down? Does it even matter if it comes down? Grealish is a good player, but where does he fit in? Whereas I think Van der Beek plays in more positions in the midfield for us anyway. He's cheaper. But if you're going to get Van der Beek, you need to get him soon because he's not played football for ages. So you need to get his fitness levels up for what is the start of the Premier League season in 5 weeks' time. So I don't think we're in for Van der Beek. I still think we're very focused on Grealish. And I know that Solskjaer has got Grealish at the top of his list for the attacking midfield position. So, yeah, we'll have to see on that. But I don't see Villa moving their price enough, especially with Aki going for 40 million. I mean, look, that only helps Villa. They're going to go, well, look, Aki's a centre-back. He's going for 40 million. I think we're quite in our rights to want 70 million for a player that's been one of the players of the season in a side that nearly got relegated. So that's what I feel is happening about Grealish. Seeing as Wan-Bissaka is so good defensively, do you think he'd be good at centre-back and more move Williams to right-back? Wan-Bissaka is the same height as Ramos, says Rax Chow. No, I don't think. I mean, this goes back to, and I don't know what everybody else thinks, but for me, when I look at a footballer, I look at their balance, I look at their symmetry, which way they go, and the way that they play football. Do they go to ground a lot? Do they stay on their feet? Are they cultured off both feet? I mean, I need to think of a word. It's basically football balance. It's when you look at a footballer for 5 minutes and you, in your mind, can tell whether you think they're a good player or not. When I look at Wan-Bissaka, he's a right-back. He hasn't got the balance to play at centre-back. He goes to ground too much. He's got quite a gangly style. I think as a centre-back, you've got to have a good core, a good balance, be able to play off both sides, even though you might be more comfortable off one. I don't see Wan-Bissaka as a centre-back. I mean, Gary Neville was a right-back that could play at centre-back because Gary Neville had a good core as a footballer. You felt he could move both ways. He stayed on his feet, but he could, I think Wan-Bissaka's a fullback. I don't think he's a right back. I don't think he's a right winger. I don't think he's a right-sided centre-back, and I don't think he's a centre defensive midfielder. Now, Wan-Bissaka's a better right back than Fosu Mensah, 100%. But I think Fosu Mensah is a player that he's got that balance where he could play CDM, centre-back, maybe even left-back. He's got a good core. Although he's not left-footed, he's got good symmetry whichever way he sort of plays, and that's what you need. It's like Daley Blind. Everyone used to say Daley Blind can play at CDM. I don't think Daley Blind was ever a CDM for me. He was too left-footed. He's too left-sided. On the right side, he lacks the symmetry. So that's what you're looking for with your CDM, especially. But I think with your centre back, you want a little bit more. And I think Wan-Bissaka is a right back. Would you take anyone from the sides relegated? I personally like Decore and Sarr, says Beslin Gito. I mean, that's been mentioned quite a lot. For me, I don't like Decore. I've never liked him. And also, if you're a midfielder in a side that gets relegated, I think you've got to take a lot of the responsibility. Mark, top 10 centre-backs, too old, expensive. Why not look at Zabak, 20 years old, Turkish, at Schalke. Club desperate for money, need to sell, says James Howell. Look, James, you can add him into the 20 or so centre-backs, I think, that are better than Tyrone Mings across Europe, that are younger and half the price. You think David Beckham will do us a favour and take Pereira off our hands? I can see him playing for Inter Miami, says Phil Flanagan. I can't see Andreas Pereira going to the MLS at his age, unfortunately. So there. What about a Memphis Depay return, says VK Dean? I think Memphis Depay is going to end up, hopefully he's going to end up at Borussia Dortmund, because I think that, as I spoke about last night, because we get a first refusal on Memphis Depay, we can have an involvement in that deal for Dortmund that will hopefully help us out with Sancho. United too slow during the market. Get it done, says Ryan Hansen. I mean, look, I think you're right, Ryan. I'm not worried at the moment, but I do think that if we are going to do 2 or 3 deals and we are going to sell 3 or 4 players, something needs to start happening soon. We're into August now. The transfer window's nearly been open for a week. It's still open for 2 months, but I think if we're going to do business, we need to start doing business soon. And the situation at the moment is a little bit slow, but however quick we do the Sancho deal, we must also remember that Manchester United are a side that don't ever seem to do more than 1 deal at a time. I mean, look at Man City. Aki and Torres are pretty much being done at the same. Well, they are being done at the same time. They're very, very close. But Man United, we don't really seem to do deals at the same time. The last one I sort of remember was Schweinsteiger and Schneidlin happened very, very close together. But we don't seem to, for the last couple of years, be able to do deals at the same time. What will your reaction be if we make no signings? Says Marcus Rashford will be the best left winger in the world. What would anybody's reaction be? I think that if we don't do any signings, I'd be very disappointed, to be honest. I think that, I mean, look, the board are always on trial at Manchester United. I mean, it's unfair to just say the board are on trial because the transfer window's open. They're always on trial. And I think if they didn't buy any players this summer, there would be massive justified frustration, because the big thing for me is it's not about the Glazers not spending money again. It's more about not backing the manager. I think Solskjaer really, they gave him 1 player in January and the change in the team has been fantastic. So, I know Bruno gets mentioned a lot by me and has been mentioned a lot by this channel for a long, long time. But I think that if you look at the fact that Bruno was 1 player, and if they hadn't given him Bruno in January, I think Ollie would be sacked. That team was never going to get 3rd place. I mean, I've said it so many times. When Bruno came in, we were 14 points off 3rd, and we finished 3rd. So, and we did it in I think we did it in 15 games when he came in. Had we maybe even less? So he's turned around a 14-point gap in more or less 14 games. If they hadn't bought Bruno Fernandes, Ollie would have been sacked and we would have been outside the top 5. So it just shows you, if you give Solskjaer the players, then he's already shown that he will improve the team massively. And he made a lot of mistakes, of course he did, but I always like to give the manager the benefit of the doubt, especially when I like the manager. And I think that, maybe Ollie wanted Bruno last summer and they didn't deliver it. They got him in January, and the team delivers and Ollie delivers. So if we didn't buy anybody, I'd be fuming, because it would show a total lack of respect for the manager and a lack of backing for the manager. But it's a hypothetical. We're definitely going to buy players. Who we get, how many we get, we'll have to see. I said it might only be Sancho. Dazu says, I would go in 60 to 65 million plus add-ons for Koulibaly. Most players only hang about clubs 4 to 5 years anyway. Would take defence to next level, says Dazo W. He's 29. Why aren't we going for any of the French centre-backs from RB Leipzig? They are strong, fast and young, says Nils Haranas. Well, Upamecano has signed a new contract, so he's off the table. And the other one is Konate, isn't he? And apparently, I like the look of him, but apparently he's quite injury prone. So there you go. Thoughts on Dalot to Barcelona being close, says the legend. I think that would be a great deal, because what I like about Dalot is that he's a really, really good player, Dalot. Very clear that Ollie doesn't want to use him. I think let's move on from that. Ollie doesn't want to use him. But he is a player that's young and well-liked across Europe, so there won't be a shortage of players looking to buy him. Which means, look, a lot of you like Dalot, but the reality is the manager doesn't. So move him on and take the money. 20 million quid, happy days. So let's get that deal done quickly. And if we get our money back, we get our money back. If we get more than 20 million, great. If we get less than 20 million, I think that's a bit of a joke. But yeah, let's take the money and drop it into the pot with the Champions League money. Shaky Jakey says, Man United, breaking news, signed top midfield general Mark Goldbridge. Oh, thanks, I wish. Too old now. And Tariq Lamptey would be perfect backup for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, says Taylor. He's fantastic, Lamptey, from what I've seen of him at Brighton. I really do like him. But I don't think United will be going in for him. Sander only just gone to Sheffield, so that will not let him go, says Kurt Thompson. Talking about Sander Berg, who I think is... Sander Berg's very interesting, actually, because he looks like the next Matic. He looks like he could be a very good player for a top 4 club. And also he's Norwegian, so keep your eye on that, but it won't be this summer. Mark, could we loan Jack with option to buy next season, says Sean from Ireland. I mean, look, technically you can do anything you want to do, but I just don't think many clubs want to do that sort of thing. And I don't. To be more importantly, I don't think Grealish would want to be bought and then loaned back to Villa at his age. He's 24, 25, isn't he now? Thomas says, I would be happy if we only get Sancho and an experienced coach to help out Ollie. And we can get an additional 15 to 20 million if Zaha gets sold, says Ashim. Yes, I mean, I've said this a few times. If Zaha gets sold for 50 million, we get about 12.5 million out of that because we get 25%. So, but that will be a reason I think Crystal Palace want to bump the price up. So, Zaha's in a difficult situation in this market because if Zaha wants to go, which he does, and teams want to buy Zaha, which they do, Crystal Palace won't sell him, I don't think, for anything less than 65 million. Because they know they're going to lose 25%, and they'll be like, "Well, if we sell him for 50 million, we're only actually getting 38 because United get 25%." So, Palace will want to push that price up, which only helps us anyway. But yeah, if we get about 15 million out of Zaha's sale, again, you get 20 million for Delo. You've got 35 million there. You know, hopefully Lingard goes 20, 25 million. You're up to 55 million there. Smalling goes, Sanchez goes. You're raising up, we're raising up about 80 million quid there. So, that would be a real positive, yeah. I agree. There is an 8 o'clock show tonight. Yeah, I'm doing the FA Cup watch along on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, at about 5:30. And then we will still be live at 8 o'clock on the United Stand, definitely. In fact, get yourself over to Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, because we're doing something live at about 2:30 today that's going to be very much good fun. It's just a trial thing, but it's going to be a bit of fun. What about, I reckon we could have Sancho within the next week, says Viru. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people are asking this. When do I think that Sancho will sign? And Aaron Wan-Bissaka would make an awesome centre-back. Try it in Europa, says Roy. I disagree, Roy. I don't know whether you listened to what I said before, but I've watched football for a long time, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. Why does Aaron Wan-Bissaka become a good centre-back? He spends most of his time on the ground. Like, name me a centre-back that slide tackles a lot. He's got... Wan-Bissaka is a right back. Like, the touchline is his friend. The ball's there, he'll take the ball, he'll slide, and he'll put it out, and he can stand up knowing it's a throw-in. I don't think Wan-Bissaka as a centre-back would be very good at all. He just doesn't seem to me... He doesn't spend enough time on his feet. Just seen that Crystal Palace are interested in Jesse Lingard, says Ewan Black. That would be good. Swap him for Zaha. Who would be your preferred centre-back was another question. Then I'll answer the Sancho thing. My preferred centre-back at this moment in time... As I said last night, I don't have one because I don't know enough about these players in Europe that we're being linked to. I don't watch enough of the French League or La Liga or the German League to know that's the one I want over that one. But what I do want, and I'll say it again, I want United to sign a Tar, a Gabriel, a Torres, a Benoit Benedeshi at Monaco. That sort of a player. That profile of a player, somebody who's 19 to 23, who's playing at a club that's not a big club, who shows the potential to be a top-class player, who's ready to take the step up for about 20, 25 million. That's the profile of centre-back I want. I don't want Brexit FC Tyrone Mings. I don't want that. So the type of centre-back, I'm not. If Gabriel goes to Everton and we get Torres from Villarreal, fine. If we get the Monaco one, fine. I don't care as long as because if we do it, the exciting thing for me is I don't know loads about this player, but they're not from the Premier League, so we're trusting our European scouts. And I think United need to do that more. And that, to me, would be enough to go, I like the signing of this signing. I meant we get Jack on loan and pay Villa the full price next summer, says Sean from Ireland. Yeah, I mean, that would be great for United. I just don't think it could happen. Stephen Lilly says, I've got a question. What are you thinking of buying a great left-back and moving Shaw to centre-back to partner Lindelof or Harry? I mean, I do think that Luke Shaw could play as a left-sided centre-back. I don't think it's as crazy as some people think. Why is Grealish more of a popular option than Van der Beek, and David Alaba to me would be a top signing? Swiss Army knife type, says Coyote. I think Alaba would be good at United. Thanks for the super chat, Paul McKenna. And none of our bench players seem to play well without a run of games. What could be the cause of this, says Shafia. I don't know, because we've got one of the best bench players in football history. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a brilliant bench player, so it's not like he can't. You know, our bench players should be the best in the league because they're being mentored by the best bench player there ever was. And he used to study the game and he was ready. So I think the players need to take a look at themselves. The Freds, the McTominays, the Dan Jameses, the Igalos. They need to do better off the bench. You know, it's not an excuse. It's a mental game, isn't it? Football, it really is. As for when do I think we're going to sign Jadon Sancho? So it's August the 1st today, which means it's August the 8th a week today, which means it's August the 10th on Monday, which is the big day. I think we will see an escalation next week for Jadon Sancho. Do I think we'll get the deal done by August the 10th? No. Do I hope we will? Yes. Why don't I think it will be done by August the 10th? Because it's Man United and we don't do deals in 2 weeks, which is what it would be to get it done at August the 10th. Considering we started the real talks this week, that would be a 2-week deal, which would be... I really hope it happens. I hope I'm proved wrong because it would show a progression, an exciting progression in the way that we do deals. I personally think it won't be done for 3 or 4 weeks. So probably sort of like the week after next. But look, I hope I'm wrong on that. I really do. Because United need to get these deals done a little bit quicker because it's a shorter window. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. We're back live at 8 o'clock tonight. And if you want to do a watch along for the FA Cup, it will be on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, at about 5. And we're also doing something live on there at 2:30 that I think you'll quite like as well. Have a good day. I'll speak to you in a bit.